Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Jay from JAAD Productions, and I have returned after quite a lapse in time in order to tell you all about exciting things. Now, the first thing that I'll be talking about in this video is, as we all know, for those of us who enjoy the glorious days of Warhammer and GW's cyclical releases, the Horus Heresy 3.0 is about to release, and this is alongside the current 10th edition, which is out at the moment, and, well, we have various opinions on that. Suffice to say, we don't like either. Now, you might be familiar with the Long War project, which I have long promoted here on this channel, and I am here to tell you not just about the Long War, which has now entered its fourth version, although document here says 3.4, and it completed a large-scale update recently, which has got me excited. It's probably the best that this game has been as it continues to revise itself. For those of you who don't know what the Long War is and you have just stumbled upon this video, allow me to simply tell you this. This is a rule system designed by actual game designers, by fans, for fans, and it is basically a system designed to encapsulate old-school Warhammer, but updated, fixed, and streamlined. Not in the way Games Workshop does it, but in the way that, you know, there's no company driving the policy to make the game a certain way in order to increase sales revenue and or prop up a new edition. Instead, what it largely is an homage to 5th edition, which is its closest rules basis, and with elements of 8th edition and 7th edition, and some drawing upon with Horus Heresy 2.0 in terms of its rules writing. It plays pretty well for those of you who want an old-school Warhammer experience, and currently, I'm pleased to say that at this time, that the 4.0 is currently out, the core rules have just undergone a slight change to increase the ability and ease of play when it comes to psychic powers, some more minor tweaking, an update of special rules to allow things to play a little better. All of the factions for the Long War 4.0 are currently out, but that is not why you clicked on the title of this video. No, because I'm here to talk about Crusade and Betrayal. Now, this is the similar game system of the Long War. It is based upon it, but it has been recrafted, rewritten, as it were, to essentially be a Horus Heresy 2.5. It is a new edition of the Horus Heresy game, again, created under the same auspices of the Long War, a game by fans for fans, which takes the original concept and game design, the original systems, buffs out and smooths out the issues, rewrites what needs to be rewritten, rebalances what needs to be rebalanced, and is currently live and playable. There is a section of it on the Long War Discord for people to come in. I have currently, at this time, played 3 games of Crusade and Betrayal, and as someone who had an interesting time with Horus Heresy 2.0, in that I was a fool who chose to play the faction I liked and not the faction that was powerful, well, I can tell you that Crusade and Betrayal plays really well. It, comparatively to the Long War, it is a far more in-depth system. Slightly differences make it a little bit more crunchy and a little bit more designed to emphasize the way in which warfare is waged in this period of the Warhammer universe and hone in on that Space Marine on Space Marine conflict. It is designed for that specifically, and thus with a smaller scope, having to allow for fewer aliens and fewer strange and wild abilities. It's surprisingly well balanced and toned, but just like the Long War, it is a living document in which the designers are continuing to adjust it based on player feedback. And now Crusade and Betrayal is not as complete as the Long War. At this time, as I said, Long War 4.0 edition currently has all of its factions available. The Crusade Betrayal currently has available to it, as you can see here in the main drive where you can find it, by going through the Discord, going down to Crusade Betrayal, going into the pinned items and opening up the Google Drive there. Currently, the Crusade Betrayal has the core rules, it has your core Liber Astartes, with everything you need for the core Space Marines. You can see your basic Master of the Legion there with your Legion Praetor, the Rights of War in the main companies. You can see all the various things loaded here. It's quite extensive. Everything you would expect from a Warhammer game, right? Everything you would expect from a 30k game is in here. And of course, at this stage, the Iron Hands are finished, the Dark Angels are finished, I'm really enjoying playing them. The Emperor's Children are phenomenally fun. The Imperial Army / Militia is the game I've actually played 2 games against them. They might be my most favorite faction to fight. They have a huge array of weapons, abilities, powers, units. They are a joy and a treat to fight in 30k with Space Marines, Mechanicum, and other Imperial Army. I have fought them as the Space Wolves, and I have fought them as the Iron Hands. And I gotta tell ya, my goodness, don't underestimate the regular humans. You might lose a Land Raider or two. But in addition to that, the Iron Warriors are available at this current moment. So is the Adeptus Mechanicum, the Vilca Fenrica, who I shall never refer to as the Space Wolves, as people who know and have watched this channel for a very long time know that I am a Space Wolves person. Although I am now a convert to the White Scars, praise the Khan. Which are also available, and Word Bearers. And of course, in the server you can follow along with everything, as they are currently, the chief designer of Crusade Betrayal is working on Imperial Fists next, followed by Thousand Suns and Salamanders are next on the block. But Crusade Betrayal is a really excellent game, and I just wanted to take this time, with Horus Heresy 3.0 on the horizon, I wanted to tell people about Crusade Betrayal, for the people who are looking at 3.0 a bit like we are, and going, no, you crazy sons of bitches, that's not what we want. You said we rethought some of the mechanics, and we just changed some stuff, and then but it's not a major rewrite, and then proceeded to show us major rewrites with more confusing stat profiles and things that we just don't like. I see multi-damage weapons in a system I run. So, that's not Warhammer. Reactions were already broken enough. You need to fix them first before you start inserting 4 different leadership scores into the game, okay? And then introducing traits on top of special rules, on top of other modifiers for, weapons. Oh, and of course, everyone's favorite thing, our favorite thing is, there's no penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. It's not like the Space Marine has any sort of realism in carrying that giant, tank-mounted gun on his shoulder. There's no penalties for that. Why would there be decision-making in a Warhammer game? A miniature war game. Anyway, still, Crusade Betrayal is pretty much the similar foundations of the Long War. And if you know anything about the Long War, and if you don't, I'll tell you, it has very similar foundations to 5th to 7th edition of Warhammer 40,000 and Horus Heresy 1.0 and 2.0. 1.0 being the greater inspiration. You have universal special rules. You have unit types, but no subtypes. You have a range of different things. You have your psychic powers, no prayers, no nothing. But you have, and so what is basically built here is a streamlined version. Now, in order to improve your experience when reading things, to help you in case you know the Long War or you want to learn both the 40k and 30k equivalents of this game system, there is an easy to note here that in purple, that new changes appear in purple, making it very easy to see where things are different from the Long War versus things are different to Crusade Betrayal. Notably as well, when you're looking at other things, blue are minor additions, or are changes, to allow you to see where things have, deviated. or new changes are in purple, sorry. Blue are recent corrections, and red are rules differences between this and the Long War. So, there is that. Now, notably, of course, you're going to see down here in the factions that there's way less factions. But, of course, this is Crusade Betrayal. This is 30k Horus Heresy, and we've already talked about and shown some of the Legion supplements already. I'll be diving into them in a different video. But you have all these fun little things, the Demons, the Talons of the Emperor, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Militia, the Solar Auxilia, and the Legion Astartes, all the things you would expect. And, of course, there is a note here that the following Long War factions are compatible as well. For those of you who just want to do some good old, well, Great Crusade. Now, overall, when you're looking at the differences here, allegiances mean something different in Crusade Betrayal because you're picking between traitors and loyalists. There's some slight differences on buildings and mechanics, but most of it is largely the same. Some of the things that change particularly are like specific ways in which like Deep Strike can work, some additional special rules. Some special rules do different things to better balance the combat environment of Crusade Betrayal. To give an example, Furious Charge in the Long War gives you an extra attack on the charge, whereas Furious Charge in Crusade Betrayal gives you an extra strength on the charge. Slight differences like that, which are created as a result of trying to tailor the names and the situations a bit more to the 30k era, and of course balancing that around the introduction of other new special rules. Of course, also, there are different kinds of reactions here. Now, reactions, for those of you who immediately think, oh, this game has Horus Heresy 2.0 reactions. No. So how reactions work in the Long War and Crusade Betrayal is you actually sacrifice your shooting to set yourself to a reaction. Now, you might immediately think, well, why would I ever sacrifice my shooting? And I'm going to tell you, there are plenty of reasons why you would do this. You can also begin games set to certain reactions. So, there is that as well. But you see, Overwatch in this system, you sacrifice your shooting, and it allows you to Overwatch when you get charged. If you don't get charged, you actually still get to shoot your weapons at something nearby, albeit at a reduced range. So you're not fully sacrificing your shooting, you're delaying it, and capping your range for the intended of thinning out enemies that get too close to you. Other reactions include smoke, which is essential for vehicles, such as rhinos, and then you can see down here that 2 new reactions are introduced in Crusade Betrayal, specifically designed for the nature of this, particularly with all the jet bikes that are flying around and the land speeders, as well as the copious number of Space Marine flyers. Flyers are far less limited in Crusade Betrayal in terms of slots that you can take them in compared to regular Long War. So there is that to keep in mind. So, you have extra reactions such as Intercept and Evade, which do very different things for your different units. Otherwise, you'll see that most things are very much the same. And of course, this is a living system, which means we continue to support it, which is fantastic. The more I play, the more feedback I give, the more the writer of Crusade Betrayal fixes things, addresses imbalances in the legions when they crop up, and can fix stuff. I can tell you, having already played some of the really strong legions, they're doing a pretty damn fine job. Most games are super back and forth. You would not expect a game against Militia to be that close, let alone twice. Just saying. Notably, another thing about Crusade Betrayal is that with a greater emphasis on vehicles, and more vehicles on the table, and more AV-14 vehicles on the table, the reintroduction of glancing hits is brought back, along with different, slightly different ways of conforming to the vehicle damage chart that Long War has introduced for managing its vehicles. There are no hell points in the Long War or Crusade Betrayal. It is a straight vehicle damage chart. However, vehicles are quite tanky. The chart is somewhat generous. you will have to put in some effort to bring them out. You can potentially still pop them in one hit with a high-strength AP1 weapon, or even a really lucky roll with an AP2 weapon rolling in the chart, but you're still got really surprisingly tanky vehicles, and a really great chart that makes vehicles really dynamic without punishing them. And of course, for those of you who've played 2.0, dreadnoughts are not as ridiculous, but that's a different thing depending on your view of whether or not you have 12 dreadnoughts or 1 dreadnought. So, and of course, this is the Long War. And Crusade Betrayal, they both use universal special rules. And you can see here, immediately in red on this page, universal special rules, there's a bunch of new special rules introduced here, which are all about tailoring the experience for Crusade Betrayal in those gritty Horus Heresy fights. I can tell you, having played several of these, I absolutely love fighting this. It's a larger scale than Long War, because it's Horus Heresy, obviously, so you often play at 2,500 points, gets you a lot of models, and you're playing really mass combat games, and you have the breadth of things to go with. There's a number of special rules, the units are well designed, everything works in a way that's really nice. This is a Horus Heresy game for anyone who has enjoyed the Horus Heresy games so far, and is on the fence and or not happy with what they're seeing from the 3.0 previews. And I don't blame you if you're not happy from seeing the 3.0 previews. I was already not particularly happy at the end of 2.0 here. Obviously with the way that the books went and the fact that the more we played, the more imbalanced and poorly written the game appeared to be. Not to mention it's quite, honestly, really subpar future supplements beyond the Libras. As well as all of the things that, you know, again, I can't blame you. Games Workshop has a really terrible track record, mostly because of how their products and policies work. But that's a different that's a different video for a different time. So you've got Crusade Betrayal here. It's everything you would expect. So you have all the universal special rules that you've come to know. They work in very similar ways. And like I said, you have all these factions, they're still in the works, and it's growing. So if you want to jump in on the Crusade Betrayal, now is the time to do it. Really excellent game, and if you're really into 40k as well, you have the Long War itself as well. The links for the Discord are down in the description below on this video. Feel free to check it out and come join the Long War. Become a veteran today, like myself. I advocate for this game system. It's really fantastic. And I've played a shit ton of Warhammer. Thank you very much. I have been Jay from JAAD Productions.